Welcome back to the deep dive, where curiosity always leads the way. Today, we're doing more than just turning a page on the calendar. We're really trying to embrace this idea of each new day as a completely fresh start. We're diving deep into something we're calling strategic living. Basically, how you can intentionally weave together positive focus, flexible planning, and, well, purposeful action to really navigate life's, constant changes. Think of it as a guide to thoughtfully designing your days, not just getting through them.
Yeah, and what's really exciting about this, I think, is the mix of insights we've pulled together. This isn't just one theory, We're drawing from all sorts of places, ancient philosophy like Confucius, right up to high-stakes stuff like NFL sports psychology. The goal here is to give you a kind of concentrated dose of practical wisdom, a real shortcut maybe to getting well-informed on self-mastery and, well, daily effectiveness.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, our stack, it includes some great bits from Vivir Estrategicamente, Tony Dungy's Daily Challenge, Robert Greene's Daily Laws, and a few other really powerful quotes, too. Our mission, like always, is to pull out those key nuggets, the things that will help you move through your days with, let's say, more intention and hopefully more success. So let's unpack this. Okay, so we're going to kick things off with something Charles Kettering said for September 5th. It sounds simple, but it's actually pretty deep. Every time you tear a leaf off a calendar, you present a new place for new ideas. This idea of daily renewal, like a fresh canvas each morning, it's so powerful. But how often do we really feel that? We usually just treat today like yesterday's leftover problems,
Yeah,
right?
that's so true. We get stuck in that inertia. But Kettering is nudging us, isn't he? He's pointing to the potential in that newness. It's not just blank. It's an invitation to look at challenges, opportunities, even ourselves with like fresh eyes. And that shift in perspective right at the start of the day, that's really a cornerstone of strategic living.
That immediately makes me think about where we put our attention. Because what we focus on, that kind of dictates the new ideas or chances we even see. And our sources lead perfectly into Tony Dungy's Daily Challenge. He shares these incredible insights from NFL kickers. We're talking legends like Adam Vinatieri, Mike Vanderjagt, Michael Huston, Martin Gramatica. Beyond talent, what was their real secret to being so consistent under pressure?
It's fascinating, actually. Dungy highlights something almost mystical. Their ability to mentally pre-live success. They would literally see the ball splitting the uprights dead center before the kick even happened. They weren't just hoping. They were envisioning it, crystal clear. And the flip side is just as important. Dungy says negative thoughts actively doom their efforts. Wow. It's a huge lesson in how our internal talk shapes our reality, especially when the stakes are high.
So that internal monologue, then, it becomes a key strategic tool, doesn't it? Okay, so for the rest of us, maybe not kicking field goals, how do we translate that kind of focus? That directed attention from the football field into our own daily challenges.
Well, that's where the deeper insight really is. It's about getting that our minds aren't just passive receivers,
Yeah.
They're powerful projectors. If you're constantly stuck on past mistakes or imagining everything that could go wrong, you're basically programming yourself for failure.
Right.
And this isn't just about like naive positive thinking. It's way more sophisticated. It's mental training, deliberately directing your attention. It reminds me of that advice in Philippians 4.8. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right, and so on. Excellent things. Worthy of praise.
Hmm.
It's about building a mental defense against self-sabotage.
Yeah, and it's interesting the variety of ways these kickers actually did that on the sideline to keep that focus. Some would chat with coaches or teammates about totally different stuff, just distract themselves.
Right.
Others sat alone, relaxed. Some even looked at the far goalposts, the ones way down the field that looked tiny, so their actual target seemed huge by comparison.
That's clever.
And yeah, others prayed. What does that variety tell us about focus?
It tells us the goal is the same, positive, clear focus, but the path there. That's super individual. These are all just different strategies for managing your internal world, keeping your mind from going down those unhelpful roads. The key wasn't which technique they used. It was that they consciously chose one, to steer their attention away from fear and towards, well, what they wanted to happen. It really speaks to the power we have over our own mental state, even when things outside are chaotic.
So if we connect this back to Kettering's new place for new ideas, it's like we need to actively plant the right kind of thoughts in that new place each day. And this ties in beautifully with Confucius, actually. Ancient wisdom.
Yeah.
Attack the evil that is within yourself rather than attacking the evil that is in others.
Yeah.
How does that ancient advice reinforce what these modern kickers figured out about attention?
Well, they're both pointing to the same strategic core, aren't they? Even centuries apart. The most effective place to put your limited mental and emotional energy is inward, towards mastering yourself. The kickers knew their real opponent wasn't the other team, it was their own doubt. And Confucius knew that blaming others is just a distraction from your own growth. If you want to change things or even just make the most of a new day, you've got to manage your inner world first, your focus, your energy. Otherwise, you're just scattering your power.
That idea of directing internal energy. Okay, that leads us perfectly to our next concept, strategic positioning. Robert Greene, in Daily Laws, introduces this really profound idea called shi. He uses these amazing images like a boulder perched precariously on a hilltop or a bowstring stretched taut. Can you unpack that a bit? What does he mean by a position of potential force?
Yeah, Green's concept of shi is brilliant because it goes way beyond just like normal planning. It's not just about having a goal. It's about arranging things, circumstances, so you have maximum leverage and flexibility when it's time to act. Think about that boulder. It's not moving, but wow, the potential energy there. Or the bowstring. It's not fired, but it's ready to launch with precision. It's about patiently setting things up so a small effort can have a huge effect. Or so you have multiple ways to respond.
Okay, so if real strategy isn't rigid, step-by-step plans, not just option A is the only way, then what does strategic depth of thinking actually look like compared to, say, formulaic thinking?
Formulaic thinking is like following a recipe, right? You do steps 1, 2, 3, expect outcome X. Strategic depth knows life rarely works like that. It's messier. So instead, it's about positioning yourself to have more options. To be able to go with A or B or maybe even C, depending on how things actually play out. It means spending time really understanding the situation, building skills that are useful in different ways, cultivating relationships, not just chasing one single straight line. It's about being ready for opportunities you couldn't even predict, not just following a script you wrote last year.
That distinction feels so important. It reminds me of Peter Drucker's famous line, efficiency is doing things right, effectiveness is doing the right things. Strategic positioning, then, sounds like it helps you be effective, choosing the right direction first, rather than just efficiently climbing the wrong mountain. What does this mean practically for, like, someone's career or personal growth?
Exactly. Most people focus on efficiency. How can I do my job faster? How can I stick to this workout plan perfectly? But strategic positioning makes you pause and ask, hang on, is this the right job for me? Am I even climbing the right mountain?
Yeah.
It challenges that whole rigid 5-year plan idea.
Yeah.
Instead of mapping every step, it's more about cultivating adaptability, building skills you can use anywhere, nurturing a network that brings diverse opportunities. It means being ready for change, not tied to one single outcome you decided on ages ago. It's knowing that the right thing might shift and your position lets you shift with it.
Which brings us to Nancy Astor's warning. It's pretty insightful. The main dangers in this life are the people who want to change everything or nothing. She nails both extremes there. How do both of those extremes show a failure of strategic thinking?
Well, they both miss the point of shit, basically. The change everything person. They don't have the patience for positioning. They're always chasing the next shiny thing, never building a solid base, never letting that potential force build up. It's like a bowstring that's constantly being messed with, never getting taut.
Right.
And the change nothing person. They refuse to see when things are shifting. They just cling to what they know, even as their position gets weaker. They're like the boulder that just sits there and erodes from neglect instead of being ready to roll when the time is right. True strategy, like After implies, needs that balance, knowing when to patiently position and when to act decisively. And ultimately, it comes back to that reminder. If it is to be, it is up to me.
Right.
You have the agency, you can position yourself strategically.
That idea of personal agency, yeah, that leads us really nicely into our next theme. This one's super practical, something that can genuinely change your day-to-day. The power of incremental excellence. It's captured so well in this quote. Just do a little bit. Doing a little cracks the door into doing a little bit more. Now that can feel almost wrong, can it? In a culture that loves overnight success stories and huge makeovers, what's the hidden power in just doing a little bit consistently?
It flips our whole idea of progress and motivation on its head, really.
Yeah.
We often wait for this big burst of inspiration or for the path to be perfectly clear before starting something big.
Yeah, procrastination fuel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this wisdom says, no, action itself creates motivation. Doing just a little bit doesn't just open the door to doing more. It actually helps you understand better, build skill. It's like building muscle, right?
Yeah.
You don't start with the heaviest weight. You start small, consistent reps. This approach gets around that feeling of being overwhelmed. It makes it easier to start and maybe more importantly, easier to keep going.
So it's not about lowering your standards, it's just a more realistic, maybe more sustainable way to actually reach them. Helps avoid burnout. How does that one play at a time idea from sports or even one rep at a time apply if I'm trying to, say, learn a new language or build a habit or tackle some big personal challenge?
It means breaking that big scary thing down into the smallest possible steps. So instead of, I need to write a book, it's, okay, today I'll write one paragraph, or maybe even just one sentence.
Mm.
Instead of, I need to overhaul my health, it's, I'll go for a 10-minute walk.
Hmm.
Each little rep builds momentum. It lowers that mental resistance. And crucially, it gives you immediate feedback. You learn as you go. This isn't about lacking ambition. It's about being strategically smart. Excellence, in anything really comes from adding up all those focused little moments, not from trying to do everything at once. It's that quiet daily discipline that builds a real advantage over time. The boulder does move, but maybe through consistent, gentle nudges, not one giant push.
Yeah.
It lets you actually follow that advice. Don't try to do it all in one day. Just do what you can.
Okay, moving to something really profound now. Leo Tolstoy, he declared, "The sole meaning of life is to serve humanity." Wow, that sounds huge, but our sources bring it right down to earth. They connect it to practical wisdom. Don't try to save the world, just help the people around you. How is focusing on immediate service actually a strategic act?
It's strategic because it focuses your limited resources, your time, energy, skills, where they can actually have the biggest, most immediate effect, trying to save the world.
Right.
Well, that can just lead to feeling overwhelmed or like you're not doing enough, analysis paralysis.
Totally.
But helping the person right next to you, that's concrete. It's achievable. It creates real good. And that not only builds community and relationships, which are strategic assets themselves, but it also gives you this powerful sense of purpose, fulfillment. And that feeds back into your own well-being, fueling more strategic action later. It stops your energy from just getting spread too thin and wasted.
And that connects to some crucial emotional wisdom for maintaining strategic clarity. The advice: man should forget his anger before he lies down to sleep. And hatred is a curse that does not affect the hated. It only injures the hater. Release a grudge as if it were a poison, because it is.
Wow. How does holding on to resentment or anger actually undermine this strategic living we're talking about?
Oh, it's a massive drain. Holding onto resentment eats up your most valuable resources, your mental and emotional energy, period. It takes up brain space that you could be using for solving problems, being creative, taking action. It clouds your judgment. It fuels that negative inner voice that kills focus. It can even show up as physical stress, making you less resilient overall.
Yeah.
From a purely strategic view, it's like deciding to carry extra useless weight into a fight. Letting go of a grudge. It's not really about the other person. It's self-preservation. It's strategically reallocating your internal resources. It clears the decks for better thinking and, well, more effective action. That energy really is precious. And speaking of mental positioning, what about gratitude? The idea, give thanks for unknown blessings that are already on the way. This isn't just feel-good stuff, is it? It's described as a sophisticated form of mental positioning, almost strategic optimism. How does that practice actually prime us to see opportunities that pessimism just filters out?
It's incredibly powerful because it literally trains your perception. When you consciously look for things to be grateful for, you're not ignoring the bad stuff, but you are widening your lens to notice what's working, what's good, what opportunities might be lurking around the edges.
Right.
A mind stuck in pessimism is always scanning for threats. It often misses the solutions or resources that are right there. Strategic optimism, though, it primes you to spot resources, make connections, and keep that resilience you need for long-term goals. It's not being blind to reality. It's deliberately shaping your internal view to enhance your strategic vision. It lets you see those new ideas on Kettering's fresh canvas.
And what's fascinating is how this connects to Fred Rogers' observation about successful people. He noticed their obvious delight in what they're doing and said it seems to have very little to do with worldly success. He said they just love what they're doing and they love it in front of others. It suggests that real service, aligned with purpose, kind of creates its own strategic advantage, right?
Right.
Fostering connections, opportunities.
Absolutely. When you genuinely love what you do, and that work helps others, it becomes this self-fueling engine of energy and engagement. This isn't just about job success. It's that deep satisfaction that kind of radiates out. It makes you more approachable, more collaborative, more resilient when things get tough. That delight becomes almost like a magnet, pulling in resources, allies, opportunities. It's a powerful strategic edge that, money just can't buy.
And there's that beautiful Spanish proverb that captures this so well. Una buena acción es la mejor oración. A good action is the best prayer. It really emphasizes the tangible power of kindness, not just for the person receiving it, but for the clarity and purpose it brings to the person doing it. It reinforces service as a key part of strategic living.
Okay, so let's try and bring all this together. This strategic living as a kind of daily revolution.
hmm
Charles Kettering's radical idea is still central, isn't it?
hmm
Each day is genuinely new, not just another page, but a new canvas full of potential.
That's exactly right. And every single day, you have real choices. You can choose your focus, like that kicker, deliberately directing your mental energy. You can assess your strategic position, think of the boulder, making sure you have options and leverage. You can commit to that incremental progress, just doing a little bit consistently, building momentum without getting overwhelmed. And you can choose to orient yourself towards service, helping those around you, finding purpose, making a positive impact. It really drives home that true strategy isn't some perfect plan or a secret formula you have to find. It's more about the patient, consistent practice of these strategic habits. They build on each other over time. It's about holding plans lightly because things always change, but holding your core principles firmly, training your mind to see success, and then just patiently doing the work.
So, to summarize this whole insightful approach to strategic living, position yourself well, focus on what really matters, act consistently, and serve others. These aren't just nice ideas to think about. They're daily practices. They form a powerful framework for navigating this unpredictable world with real intention and impact.
Wow. Yeah. What an incredible deep dive. So much practical wisdom from all these different sources. These really aren't just abstract thoughts. They feel like actual tools you can use to make every day, like Kettering said, a new place for new ideas.
And maybe just to leave you with one final thought to chew on. What if you approached your next big challenge, whatever it is, not with a rigid step-by-step plan, but with that quiet confidence of the boulder, perfectly poised, ready for whatever the situation calls for? What new possibilities might that unleash, not just for today, but for every single fresh day that comes after?
That's a powerful question. Really makes you think about how we engage with what's next. So as you go about your day, maybe reflect on just one small strategic habit you could start cultivating. Maybe it's focusing on a positive outcome, identifying your own taking one tiny step forward, or doing something helpful for someone nearby. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into strategic living. Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.